I think equity is important because...
So equity is super important because...
Social justice education is really, really important for me because
I think equity is important in terms of creating a campus in which people can feel comfortable, feel like it's a space where they can express themselves.
It's all about inclusivity, and it's really something that I've learned to discover at McGill as part of Beyond Me, a club that supports children with disabilities in the community.
it allows us to open up a critical dialogue, a dialogue that is really, really important about systemic barriers
that each of us face because of who we are and what our backgrounds are, or how we kind of fit into our culture, and then trying to kind of understand how we can do our best to get rid of those barriers.
It's always been a cause very, very dear to my heart, in part because I don't think non-racialized people fully appreciate what it's like to be racialized in the working world.
So the experiences of people with marginalized identities are often erased or not looked at as closely as they should be. And so equity is important because it gives space to those people, it recognizes those people, it validates their experiences and their voices.
There are a lot of really awesome people at McGill, but I do think that it sometimes feels that the culture is not as supportive as it might be and not as inclusive as it might be.
The constant second guessing, the wondering if you got the position because you allow your employer to tick a box. I'm the racialized person, I'm the woman of color. Was I hired not for my skill, but because I fulfill a quota? It's taxing, it's stressful, and you're always wondering, am I good enough? Am I living up to the expectation?
Often, many of us are not able to create or initiate big changes, but we can always start as soon as we have enough awareness of ourselves and enough awareness of the barriers and of privileges and power. We're actually able to start with ourselves and start acting as soon as we see that there are systemic barriers that we might be able to reduce or remove. It also enables us to become an ally.
That too is a very similar experience in terms of really a positive experience in terms of meeting like-minded people who want to create a more inclusive environment and really getting to understand different people's perspectives, different people's strengths, different people's experiences, getting to know more about the diversity in our community.
I obviously come from points of a lot of privilege, but in some ways I also don't. I came from a pretty difficult family background, and so I had to overcome things like poverty and abuse, and I'm also gay, so there's that element. There's certain elements of like a societal disadvantage that I've experienced, but I know it's not the same as many other people. Also, I think embracing the diversity and the strengths that come from that different people bring because they've had to face different barriers. So I guess for me, I'm always doing my best to fight the disadvantages that I have, while at the same time recognizing my own privilege and helping others who may be less privileged than myself.
I also think that working in equity is something that needs to be done because there's still such a long way to go. Underrepresented groups are still struggling to make their way, so I think it's work that needs doing, and I'm glad to do it, but it is taxing and it is sometimes disheartening to see how little progress we're making.
You know, I know that McGill can be a hard place to navigate, especially for members of certain groups, right? So I think that it could always be better. That's how I kind of think of it.